Van's smile falters as Darius and Simone enter, their presence shifting the air in the dining room. His eyes dart from their sharp suits to the open window tables, then back to his reservation list. He hesitates, fingers tightening around the pen. The restaurant's hum softens, as if waiting for his next move. He forces a greeting. "Welcome. Reservation for 2. Darius nods, his voice steady. "Bryant." Evan glances at the names above theirs, jaw tightening for a split second. He circles a table number near the kitchen, barely meeting their eyes. "This way, please." Simone's gaze lingers on the empty tables they pass. Her heels tap softly, each step measured. Diners look up, some offering polite nods, others quickly returning to their plates. Evan's posture stiffens, his tone clipped, as he leads them to a cramped spot by the swinging kitchen door. Darius glances at Simone, a quiet exchange passing. Between them, she offers a gentle smile, her dignity undisturbed. Evan places the menus on the table, voice flat. "Your server will be with you shortly." He expects a complaint, but none comes. The couple sits, composed as if the worst table in the house is exactly where they belong. A server, Latasha, passes by, her eyes flicking from Evan to the couple. She notes the tension, the unspoken message in Evan's quick retreat. Simone smooths her napkin, her calm a silent challenge. Darius's hand rests on the table, fingers drumming one's a signal of patience. Not defeat, Evan returns to the host stand, adjusting his tie, glancing back. He doesn't see Simone's subtle smile, the kind that warns of storms. The restaurant's polished surface hides a crack, just beginning to show before the story continues. Please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. Evan leads Darius and Simone through the restaurant, his pace just a bit too quick. Each step past a vacant, sunlit table feels deliberate. Simone's heels mark a steady rhythm on the floor, echoing in the hush that follows them. Diners glance up, then look away, their faces a mix of curiosity and discomfort. A couple near the window pauses mid-conversation, eyes lingering on the path Evan chooses for his guests. Simone's gaze sweeps the room, noting every empty seat, every untouched place setting. She exchanges a look with Darius, a silent understanding. Passing between them, Evan stops at a cramped table near the kitchen, the hum of dishwashers and clatter of plates just behind a swinging door. The table wobbles slightly as Simone sits, her hand steadying her water glass. Darius pulls out her chair, his gesture gentle, his expression unreadable. A server passes, tray balanced, offering a brief, uncertain nod before disappearing into the kitchen. Latasha, watching from the service station, bites her lip, her eyes following the couple. The air feels heavier here, the laughter from the main dining area muffled by distance and walls. Evan stands for a moment, menus in hand, before placing them on the table with a practiced motion. "Your server will be with you soon," he says, voice low. Simone meets his eyes, her expression calm but unyielding. Evan hesitates, then turns away, adjusting his jacket as he heads back to the host stand. Darius glances around, taking in the view of the kitchen doors, swinging open and closed, staff moving in and out, never pausing near their table. Simone smooths her napkin, her movements precise. The exclusion is unspoken, but the message is clear. Their table, set apart from the others, becomes a quiet stage for everything the restaurant tries to hide. Simone sits quietly, her fingers pressing a crease into the menu as she scans the options. Across the room, a server laughs with a family. By the window, pouring wine with practiced ease, Darius watches the exchange, his eyes narrowing just slightly. Their own table sits in the shadow of the swinging kitchen doors, the noise from inside a constant reminder of where they've been. Placed. Darius leans in, voice low. "You notice how quickly they got served?" Simone nods, her lips barely moving. "We're invisible tonight." Their words are soft, but the meaning is heavy. Evan stands at the host stand, glancing over occasionally, pretending to check reservations. He avoids their gaze, focusing on a group of regulars arriving at the entrance. Latasha approaches, her steps tentative. She offers a polite smile, but her eyes linger a moment too long. "Can I get you started with something to drink?" Simone looks up, her tone gentle but edged with something sharper. "What do you recommend?" Latasha hesitates, then suggests the house special. Darius orders water. Simone chooses tea. The server nods, her hands fidgeting with her notepad before she retreats. Around them, the clink of glasses and bursts of laughter fill the air. Simone's hand tightens on her menu, knuckles whitening. She glances at Darius, a question in her eyes she doesn't voice. He shakes his head, a silent reassurance. There's no need to ask why they're here, why this table was chosen. The answer is everywhere, in the glances, the distance, the way the staff moves around them. Simone straightens her posture, her dignity intact. Darius places his phone on the table, screen dark but ready. Their silence is not defeat. It's a statement. The injustice is clear, even if no one dares to say it out loud. Simone's lips curve into a faint, deliberate smile as she folds her napkin, her gaze never leaving the room. Darius catches the gesture, understanding its meaning a signal, not surrender. Evan, distracted by a new arrival at the door, misses the shift entirely. He's busy greeting a group of regulars, his laugh suddenly too loud, his posture loosening only for them. Latasha returns, setting down their drinks with careful precision. She glances at Simone, offering a small nod of respect. "Let me know. If you need anything else." Her voice is soft, but the words carry weight. Simone meets her eyes, holding the moment just long enough for Latasha to feel seen. Darius quietly thanks her, his tone measured. He opens his phone, thumb hovering. Over the Notes app, Simone leans in, her voice barely above a whisper. "We document everything." Darius nods, tapping a quick line. Service slow, placement deliberate, staff uneasy. He slides the phone aside, his expression calm but alert. A couple at a nearby table watches the exchange, curiosity flickering across their faces before they turn away. The kitchen door swings open again, a burst of steam and laughter escaping before it closes. Simone's smile lingers, not out of amusement, but as a warning, a quiet thundercloud waiting to break. Evan glances over, sensing a change but unable to pinpoint it. He straightens his tie, suddenly unsure. The room's energy shifts, subtle but unmistakable. Simone's composure unsettles him more than any complaint could. As Latasha disappears into the kitchen, she lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. The couple's calm is contagious, a ripple of dignity in a space that's tried to deny it. Simone's smile, sharp and controlled, promises that nothing here will go unnoticed. Evan returns to the host stand, adjusting his jacket with a practiced ease that barely masks his growing unease. His eyes flicker toward the couple's table, where Darius and Simone speak in low tones, their calm a quiet challenge. He smoothes his tie, a small gesture of control slipping through his fingers. A waiter passes by, pausing briefly to glance at the couple before shaking his head and moving on. The clatter of plates and murmured conversations fill the room, but a subtle tension lingers, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. Evan's smile returns, tighter this time, as he greets a group of regulars with a rehearsed warmth. His voice carries a note of forced confidence, but his hands betray him, trembling slightly as he hands over menus. Behind the scenes, Latasha watches from the service station, her eyes sharp and knowing. She exchanges a brief look with Miguel, who nods in silent agreement. The kitchen door swings open, steam billowing out, a reminder of the heat simmering beneath the surface. Simone's voice cuts through the quiet, soft but clear. "We're watching." Evan's gaze snaps up, meeting hers for a fraction of a second, before he looks away, swallowing hard. The restaurant's polished floors reflect the flickering candlelight, shadows dancing like secrets waiting to be uncovered. Narration, the calm before the storm, is never silent. It hums beneath the surface, a low vibration, felt but unseen. Evan's confidence is a fragile mask, cracking with every measured breath. The couple's quiet strength unsettles the room, shifting the balance one subtle moment at a time. The camera lingers on Evan's face, the tight smile fading into a furrowed brow. The clatter of a dropped fork echoes sharply, drawing eyes. Evans, shoulders tense, the weight of what's to come pressing down. He straightens his jacket once more, then turns away. The storm gathering just beyond the door, a deep breath steadies Evan as he steps back behind the host stand. His fingers twitch, brushing a stray hair from his forehead, The murmurs from the dining room grow louder. A distant thunder. Evan stands at the front, scanning the reservation list as a white couple approaches. "Welcome back," he says, voice warm, leading them to a bright window seat. Their laughter follows him as he returns. A black family enters next. Vin's tone shifts, polite but distant. "We have a spot for you," he says, guiding them toward the kitchen's edge. The father hesitates, glancing at the empty tables by the windows. Evan avoids his gaze, gesturing to the cramped corner. Latasha watches from the service station, her grip tightening on a tray. She remembers her first week Richard's voice in her ear. "Blend in, don't make a scene." She'd tucked her braids under a cap, smile careful, words measured. Now, she sees the same pattern play out, invisible to most. But clear as day to her, Miguel wipes down a table, eyes flicking to Evan's seating chart. He notices the pattern: who gets the best seats, who waits the longest. He accidentally drops a fork near Evan, breaking the host's rhythm. Evan shoots him a look. Miguel shrugs, a small act of resistance. Evan checks his watch, then signals Latasha to take care of the new arrivals. She approaches the black family, her voice gentle. "Can I get you started with drinks?" The mother's smile is tight, wary. Latasha offers a small nod, understanding passing between them. The kitchen door swings open, a burst of steam and laughter spilling out. Evan straightens the reservation book, pretending not to notice the discomfort around him. The dining rooms. Hum returns, but the mood has shifted. Latasha glances at Miguel, who gives her a quick, supportive nod. The routine continues, but the cracks are showing. The restaurant's elegance masks a quiet exclusion, each seating choice a silent message. Evan moves on to the next guests, unaware that every decision is being watched and remembered. Latasha stands at the service station, her hands moving with practiced efficiency, but her mind drifts back to her first week at La Belle table. She remembers the manager's words, spoken quietly but with unmistakable weight: "Blend in. Don't give anyone a reason to complain." That first day, she'd tucked her braids under a cap, her laughter subdued. Her voice softened to a careful, neutral tone. She watched the other servers. Those who looked like her kept their heads down, their smiles polite but never too bright. Tonight, as she watches Darius and Simone take their seats near the kitchen, she feels the old tension return. The couple's calm, the refusal to protest their placement, reminds her of every time she swallowed her own pride to keep her job. Her pen pauses over the order pad, the urge to offer them something extra better service, a kind word, warring, with the fear of drawing attention. A flash of memory, her first staff meeting, Richard at the front, eyes sweeping the room. "Our regulars expect a certain standard. Don't disrupt the flow." Latasha nodded, heart pounding, promising herself she'd never be the reason someone complained. She learned to move quietly, to anticipate needs before they were spoken, to make herself invisible when necessary. Now, she glances at Miguel, who catches her eye and gives a small, supportive nod. The kitchen's bustle fades as Latasha makes a decision. She scribbles on the order slip. They're watching. It's a risk, but it feels right. She delivers their drinks with a smile that's genuine, her voice steady as she asks if they need anything else. Simone meets her gaze, offering a look of gratitude that says more than words. Latasha feels a surge of courage. Tonight, she won't disappear. She'll be present, an ally, even if it means breaking the unspoken rules. The polished floors reflect her resolve, a quiet defiance that refuses to fade. Miguel moves through the dining room with a steady rhythm, balancing plates and glasses, his eyes always alert. He's learned to read the room, to sense the subtle shifts in energy when certain guests arrive. Tonight, he watches Evan guide Darius and Simone to the worst table, his jaw tightening as he notes the empty window seats left untouched. Miguel's hands clench around a stack of dishes, the urge to say something burning in his chest, but he knows words can be dangerous here. He remembers his first week, shadowing another busser who whispered, "Just keep your head down, don't get involved." But Miguel has always noticed the patterns: who gets greeted with warmth, who waits the longest, who is ushered to the back. He's seen the discomfort in guests' eyes, the way they glance at the better tables as they're led away. It's a routine, unspoken but enforced. Tonight, as Evan passes by, Miguel accidentally drops a fork at his feet. The sharp clang draws a few glances. Evan pauses, irritation flickering across his face, but Miguel just shrugs, bending to pick it up. It's a small disruption, a brief interruption of the host's practiced flow. For a moment, Evan's confidence wavers, his routine unsettled. Latasha catches Miguel's eye from across the room, her lips pressing together in a faint, approving smile. The gesture is fleeting, but it gives Miguel a boost of courage. He returns to the kitchen, his movements deliberate, making sure to refill Darius and Simone's water before anyone else's. When he passes their table, he offers a quiet, "Let me know if you need anything," his tone sincere. The kitchen staff notices one cook raises an eyebrow, another gives a subtle nod. Miguel's small acts of defiance ripple outward, quietly challenging the status quo. He may not have the power to change the seating chart, but tonight he refuses to be complicit. Every gesture, every choice, is a silent protesta way of saying, "I see you, and you deserve better." Simone lifts her menu, voice smooth as silk. "Could you recommend a red?" Evan hesitates, flipping through the wine list with hands that suddenly seem clumsy. The pause stretches. A white patron at a nearby table snaps their fingers, calling. For Evan's attention, he glances over, jaw tightening, then forces a smile back at Simone. "We have a 2015 Bordeaux," he offers, tone distracted. Simone doesn't blink. "That sounds perfect," she says, her gaze steady, never leaving Evan's face. He nods quickly and disappears toward the bar. The couple is left in a pocket of quiet, the restaurant's hum returning, but somehow sharper. More aware, Darius glances at Simone, lips curve, not in amusement, but in anticipation. Latasha passes her steps, slowing as she notices the exchange. She leans in, voice low. "If you need anything, just signal." Her eyes flicker with understanding, a silent promise of support. Evan returns, bottle in hand. The label is faded, dust clinging to the glass. He sets it down with a muted thud, then fumbles for a corkscrew. Darius asks, "Ever served this before?" Evan's mouth opens, but Latasha answers from behind him, "Not often. It's special." Her words hang in the air, layered with meaning. Miguel appears at the kitchen door, drying his hands, and nods once to Latasha. The gesture is small, but it lands with weight. Simone watches, her expression calm but fierce. "We're watching," she says quietly, her words meant for Evan, but echoing further. Evan's hands tremble as he pours the wine. The room's energy shifts. What was routine now feels exposed. Every detail is being noted, every slight recorded. The couple's composure is not just defense, but a quiet test, and the staff feels it. The camera lingers on Simone and Darius, their presence unyielding as the next challenge looms. The kitchen door swings open with a soft creak, steam curling into the air like whispered secrets. The chef glances toward the dining room, muttering under his breath, "They always want something different." His tone carries an edge, but he doesn't look up from the pan. Latasha steps in, hands steady, her eyes sharp with quiet defiance as she remakes the dish herself. Refusing to let the chef's dismissiveness dictate the couple's experience, Miguel dries his hands on a rag. Watching Latasha's movements, without a word, he slips a mint garnish onto the plate before it leaves the Kachuna small. Deliberate act of rebellion, unnoticed by most, but not by Latasha. Their eyes meet for a moment, a silent pact forming in the midst of the kitchens. Low buzz, the camera lingers on Darius and Simone as the plate arrives. Their expressions remain calm but alert, savoring each bite while mentally cataloging every detail. The kitchen's hum is a backdrop to the tension that simmers just beneath. The surface, Latasha's purposeful steps and Miguel's subtle gestures, stand in stark contrast to Evan's earlier coldness and the chef's indifference. The swinging door creaks again, a reminder of the divide between those who serve and those who are. Served, Darius leans in, voice low but firm. "They don't see us as guests." Simone nods, her gaze steady and unshaken. "Not just diners," the chef sighs, the weight of unspoken truths settling in the air. Latasha's hands move with intention, each plate a statement, every gesture a quiet protest. The couple's dignified presence unsettles the kitchen staff, a reminder that dignity can't be handed out with a meal. It must be recognized and respected. The scene closes with the kitchen door swinging shut, the soft clatter of dishes echoing like a heartbeat steady. unyielding and impossible to ignore. The check arrives with a muted thud, the kind that signals an ending. Simone doesn't rush. She slides her business card across the scratched surface. The words National Restaurant Review Board, Mystery Guest Program, catching the low light. Evan's face drains of color, his fingers tightening around the menu's edge. For a heartbeat, the entire room seems to freeze, forks suspended. Conversations paused, a collective inhale. Richard bursts from the office, his eyes sharp, voice pitched low and urgent. "What's going on out here?" Evan stammers, holding up the card as if it might burn him. "They left this. I think we're in trouble." The staff halts. Mid-motion whispers thread through the dining room, weaving a sudden chill. Latasha covers her mouth, hiding a smile that threatens to break. "Free." Miguel's gaze drops to the floor, his shoulders tense, the air thick with anticipation. A waiter nearby shifts his weight, clutching a tray to his chest as if it might shield him from what's coming. The chandelier overhead flickers, casting long, wavering shadows across the polished floor shadows that stretch and point. Silent accusations in crystal and brass dots. Simone and Darius rise, their posture unbroken. Simone's eyes meet Evan's for a single, loaded, momentous silent challenge, a promise that the quiet reckoning has begun. Evan's usual confidence falters, his jaw tight, eyes darting away from the staff's stares. Richard's face hardens, the weight of the moment settling over him like a stone. The camera lingers on the cart, a small rectangle of paper that suddenly feels monumental. The restaurant's glossy surface starts to crack, the first fissures of exposure spreading outward. Narration. That card is more than paper. It's a mirror held up to a system that thought itself untouchable. The quiet dignity of two diners becomes a spotlight, and the shadows have nowhere left to hide. The scene closes with the soft clatter of silverware, the hum of conversation now tinged with uncertainty. The storm is coming, and everyone in the restaurant can feel it. Richard sits in his office, the blue glow of the computer screen washing over his face. He refreshes the restaurant's Yelp page, each click bringing a new wave of one-star reviews. Unwelcoming, discriminated against, never again. The words pile up, heavy and relentless. His hands tremble as he scrolls knuckles. Whitening on the mouse, Evan hovers in the doorway, voice thin. "We can fix this, right?" Richard doesn't answer. He stares at the screen, jaw clenched, the silence between them growing. In the dining room, Latasha checks her phone, a small smile flickering as she reads a review. Finally, someone listened. She types a brief reply, her fingers steady. "Thank you for sharing your story." Miguel leans against the kitchen, counter, reading reviews aloud to a cook who shakes his head in disbelief. "Did you ever think it would come to this?" Miguel shrugs, voice low. "It always does, eventually." A regular customer walks in, glances at her phone, and turns, right back around, pushing through the door without a word. The sound of the bell echoes, sharp and final. The staff exchange glances, some relieved, others anxious, all aware that the ground beneath them is shifting. Richard's phone buzzes with notifications, messages from investors, urgent and unforgiving. He scrolls past old emails, complaints he once ignored or deleted, now resurfacing as public outrage. "We regret any inconvenience," he mutters, but the words sound hollow. Powerless against the flood. Latasha's reply stands out among the anger. "We hear you. We're changing." The words are simple, but they land with weight. The restaurant's reputation, once burnished and untouchable, now feels fragile. Every review a crack in the facade. Narration. The avalanche cannot be stopped. Each review is a stone, each story a spark. The system that once dismissed voices now trembles under their collective weight. Change is no longer a whisper, it's a roar, and no one can pretend not to hear it. The restaurant's name flashes across social media feeds, each post a new spark in a growing blaze. A teenager uploads a short video, her voice shaking as she recounts her own night at La Belle Table, seated by the restrooms. "This happened to me too." #DiningWhileBlack. The hashtag spreads, picked up by activists, food critics, and strangers who've never set foot in the place. Latasha scrolls through the posts, her profile picture suddenly bold, her notifications endless. She shares the teen's video, adding, "You're not alone." The likes and comments multiply, each one a small act of solidarity. Miguel stands beside her, phone in hand, reading a tweet aloud. "If you've ever felt unwelcome, speak up. We see you." Richard's phone buzzes non-stop calls from reporters, emails from corporate, messages from former staff. He sits at his desk, shoulders sagging, the walls of his office closing in. The restaurant's tagline, once a point of pride, now mocks him, as it trends alongside the hashtag .Evan at home, watches the story unfold on his screen. His name appears in threads, tagged in angry replies and shared screenshots. He types a response, then deletes it, unable to find words that won't sound empty. The weight of exposure presses down, heavier than any reprimand. In the kitchen, a cook shakes his head, muttering, "It's everywhere." The staff gather around a phone, watching a live-stream protest outside the restaurant. Signs wave in the background, voices chanting for accountability. Latasha's eyes shine not with fear, but with relief. Narration: the hashtag is more than a trend, it's a reckoning. Stories once whispered in corners now echo across the internet, impossible to ignore. The system that thrived on quiet exclusion is dragged into the light, and the world is watching. Change, once unthinkable, now feels inevitable. A local news crew sets up outside La Belle table, cameras pointed at the entrance. The reporter's voice is steady, but urgent as she approaches. Latasha, during her break, "Did you know this was happening?" she asks, microphone angled just so. Latasha hesitates, her hands fidgeting with her apron string. For a moment, the world narrows to the question and the weight behind it. Latasha looks past the camera, her eyes searching the sidewalk where protesters gather, signs raised high. "We all knew," she says quietly. "Some of us just couldn't say it out loud." The reporter nods, sensing the gravity of her words. The camera zooms in, capturing Latasha's resolve and the exhaustion in her posture. Back inside, Richard watches the live feed on his office TV, the volume low. Evan sits beside him, face pale, jaw clenched. The reporter's next question cuts through the quiet. Why speak up now? Latasha's reply is clear, her voice unwavering, because they weren't the first. They were just the last I could ignore. Evan's phone buzzes a message from his mother. Is this true? He stares at the screen, unable to answer. The staff in the break room watch the interview, some nodding in agreement, others silent, lost in thought. Miguel leans against the counterarms folded, pride flickering in his eyes. The segment airs at prime time. The restaurant's name scrolling across the bottom of the screen, social media erupts again, the hashtag surging. Latasha's words are quoted and shared, her face becoming a symbol of quiet courage. Narration: the truth, once hidden behind closed doors, is broadcast for all to see. The question lingers in the air, heavier than any accusation. The world is no longer willing to look away. The system's cracks are visible now, and every answer matters. Richard sits alone in his dim office, the computer's glow painting harsh lines across his face. He pours whiskey into his coffee, the bitter scent filling the silence. Each new reservation cancellation flashes on the screen, steady stream of loss. Every notification, a quiet judgment. He mutters under his breath, voice rough, "Why didn't you stop him?" The words hang in the air. Unanswered flashbacks flicker. His father's warning about keeping the right kind of clientele. The stack of complaints he once buried. In a drawer, the staff meetings where dissent was stifled with a look. Evan stands by the door, shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on the floor. "I thought I was doing what you wanted," he says, the admission barely audible. Latasha enters, her gaze steady. "You didn't want us to stop it," she says. Each word measured, the accusation landing with quiet force. Richard's jaw tightens, but he says nothing. The staff gathers in the hallway, some exchanging glances, others looking away. The unity that once held the team together is fractured by the truth. Now out in the open, Richard's phone buzzes again, another investor backing out. Another reporter demanding a statement. He grabs the seating chart, tearing it in two, the pieces drifting to the floor. The sound is small but final. Outside, the windows reflect a growing crowd, protest signs bobbing in the evening light. The chants seep through the glass, muffled but insistent. Inside, Richard feels the walls closing in. The empire he built is collapsing, not with chaos, but with a slow, suffocating certainty, he looks at the ruined seating chart, the fragments of his old order scattered at his feet. The future is uncertain, the past unforgiving. Narration: the man who built the walls now watches them fall. Powerless against the tide he set in motion. Legacy and failure pressed down, a reckoning in the fading light. Latasha pins the new head, server badge to her uniform, the metal cool and steady in her hand. She straightens her collar, a quiet smile flickering at the edge of her lips. The dining room hums with a new kind of energy lighter, more open. The air no longer thick with old tension. The previous seating chart, once a map of exclusion, now sits folded in the back of a drawer, replaced by one marked with welcoming notes and open tables for all. Miguel stands nearby, guiding a new hire through the evening's flow. His voice is calm and patient, emphasizing the importance of respect and real attention to every guest. Latasha watches him, her eyes bright with something close to pride. The kitchen staff moves with purpose, the clatter of plates and utensils. Now a rhythm of cooperation instead of quiet stress. Richard sits in his office, the weight of recent days pressing down. He signs a diversity pledge, his hand unsteady but his resolve clear. The staff exchanges glances, some nod in approval, others still cautious but quietly hopeful. The restaurant feels transformed, the old hierarchy dissolving into something new and uncertain but better. A black family laughs by the window, their joy filling the space. Latasha approaches with a warm smile, taking their order with genuine care. The couple at the next table watches, their expressions softening as they witness the shift. Miguel circles the floor, checking in on guests with a new confidence. His posture relaxed, Latasha's voiceover carries above the gentle hum. It's not just about changing seats or titles. It's about respect, about seeing each person for who they are. This is just the beginning. The camera lingers on the new name tags, badges gleaming under the soft lights. The restaurant's future feels uncertain but hopeful, a story rewritten with quiet strength, dignity, and the promise of real change. Richard's hands tremble as he unfolds the printed review, the words sharp and unforgiving under the harsh fluorescent light of the staff room. The usual chatter is gone, replaced by a heavy, suffocating quiet. Evan shrinks into his chair, eyes glued to the floor, carefully avoiding Latasha's steady, unwavering gaze. A busboy's pen slips from his grip, rolling off the table and clattering loudly, the sound slicing through the tension like a judge's. Gavel, heads snap up, some staff nod in reluctant agreement. Others stare at their laps, caught in the weight of the moment. Richard clears his throat, his voice brittle. They called us out for exactly what we did. Evan's fingers twitch, his voice cracking as he mutters. I was just following. Latasha cuts in, calm but firm, her words landing with quiet force. You were following something, all right? The statement hangs in the air, a silent indictment that leaves no room for rebuttal. The staff shifts uncomfortably, loyalty fracturing like glass under pressure. The dining room, once pristine and polished, now feels exposed, every flaw magnified in the harsh light of accountability. Outside, the low murmur of the city seeps through the windows, a distant reminder that the world is watching. Richard's face pales, the weight of the review pressing down. Evan's confidence unravels, his hands shaking as he fidgets with the edge of his shirt. The camera lingers on the staff's faces, some ashamed, others relieved, all caught in the moment of reckoning. The air conditioning hums too loud, amplifying every whispered doubt and unspoken fear. The scene closes with a long, heavy pause, the kind that signals a turning point, a crack in the facade that can no longer be ignored. Evan sits in the dim staff room, the weight of the recent meeting pressing down on his shoulders. His fingers fumble with his tie, the fabric tightening around his neck. No longer a symbol of authority, sweat beads at his hairline, breath coming shallow and fast. Flashbacks flicker his first day. Richard praising him for handling difficult guests. The pride he felt then, now twisted into regret. He mutters, voice barely steady, I was just following orders. The words hang, brittle and empty. Latasha's eyes meet his unwavering. She doesn't flinch or look away. The room feels smaller, the air thick with judgment. Staff glance at each other, the old bonds of loyalty splintering. A busboy's pen slips from his grasp, clattering to the floor, the sound sharp and final. Evan flinches, swallowing hard. Richard stands by the door, face pale, watching as the scene unfolds. His usual composure is gone, replaced by the burden of accountability. Evan's hands tremble as he tries to steady himself, but the restaurant's logo behind him flickers in the harsh light. A cruel metaphor for his unraveling confidence. His voice drops, almost a whisper. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Latasha's reply is calm, each word deliberate. Intentions don't erase impact. The staff shifts uneasily, the divide between them widening. The dining room outside feels exposed, every flaw magnified by the weight of truth. The clatter of a dropped fork from the kitchen draws eyes. A subtle but telling crack in the restaurant's once seamless facade. Narration: the tie that once gave him confidence now chokes. A reminder that power built on silence and fear is always fragile. Evan's shoulders sag. He straightens his jacket, trying to regain composure, but the gesture is hollow. He turns away. The storm he helped create, now gathering just beyond the door, Richard steps outside the restaurant, the glare of camera lights harsh against his face. He clears his throat, voice shaky, but trying to sound steady. "We regret any harm caused." A protester shout cuts through, drowning his words. He falters, eyes darting to the crowd. The teleprompter glitches, freezing on the word accountability. Richard's lips press into a thin line. He finishes, but the silence that follows is deafening. Louder than any applause. Inside, Latasha watches the broadcast on a small TV, arms crossed, expression unreadable. The weight of years of silence presses down, but her posture is firm. Evan sits beside Richard, face pale, jaw clenched, the reality sinking in. "We wanted to say more," Evan mutters, voice cracking. Latasha's gaze meets his, steady and unyielding. Words without action are just noise. Outside, the crowd's chants swell, a rhythmic demand for justice. The camera pans to signs held high, faces determined and hopeful. Richard's apology, meant to soothe, instead exposes the fracture beneath the surface. The restaurant's polished image cracks, revealing the raw edges of truth. Narration: the hollow words echo in the night, a reminder that change requires more than speeches. The system trembles, waiting for the next move. The scene fades with the camera lingering on Latasha's resolute face, a silent promise that the fight is far from over. The night air is thick with tension, the crowd's murmurs growing louder. Beyond the glass doors, Richard's shoulders slump, the weight of public scrutiny pressing down like a physical force. He glances back at the restaurant's entrance, the polished floors reflecting a fractured image of what once was. Evan's hands tremble as he folds his jacket over his arm, eyes darting nervously. He catches Latasha's steady gaze, a silent exchange passing between them, one of accusation and reluctant understanding. A reporter's voice cuts through the noise, asking pointed questions about the restaurant's future. Richard's lips part, but no words come. The camera zooms in on Latasha's face, her expression a mix of resolve and exhaustion. The staff gathers in small clusters, whispers weaving through the room like threads of a fragile tapestry. Each person carries the weight of the moment, the unspoken acknowledgement that the status quo has been shattered. The television flickers in the staff lounge, volume up just enough for everyone to hear. Darius sits across from a news anchor posture, composed, eyes unwavering. "We didn't want drama, we wanted dignity," he says, voice calm but resolute. Simone sits beside him, her earrings catching the studio lights, her silence as powerful as his words. The clip loops on social media, shared by hundreds, then thousands. In the parking lot, Evan watches on his phone, hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles pale. A notification pings, "You're trending." He slams his fist against the horn, the sound echoing in the empty car. Inside the restaurant, Latasha stands behind the bar, phone vibrating with messages of support. She smiles, just a little, as she watches the clip again. Miguel leans over, reading comments aloud. Finally, someone said it. "This is what we all felt." The staff exchange glances, a mix of relief and unease settling in. Richard stands in his office, the news playing in the background. He watches Darius's steady gaze, Simone's poised silence, and feels the weight of their words. He turns the volume down, but the words linger, impossible to mute. A regular customer enters, hesitates at the door, then leaves without a word. The dining room feels emptier, the air charged with something new, accountability perhaps, or the fear of it. Narration. The viral moment is more than a headline. It's a mirror reflecting what so many tried to deny. Dignity, withheld for so long, now demands to be seen. The clip becomes a rallying cry, a line drawn in the sand. The camera lingers on Simone's quiet strength, Darius's unwavering calm, and the faces in the restaurant, each one changed by the truth spoken aloud. Latasha pins the new head server badge to her uniform, the metal cool and steady in her hand. She straightens her collar, a quiet smile flickering at the edge of her lips. The dining room hums with a new kind of energy lighter, more open, the air no longer thick with old tension. The previous seating chart, once a map of exclusion, now sits folded in the back of a drawer, replaced by one marked with welcoming notes and open tables for all. Miguel stands nearby, guiding a new hire through the evening's flow. His voice is calm and patient, emphasizing the importance of respect and real attention to every guest. Latasha watches him, her eyes bright with something close to pride. The kitchen staff moves with purpose, the clatter of plates and utensils, now a rhythm of cooperation instead of quiet stress. Richard sits in his office, the weight of recent days pressing down. He signs a diversity pledge, his hand unsteady but his resolve clear. The staff exchanges glances, some nod in approval, others still cautious but quietly hopeful. The restaurant feels transformed, the old hierarchy dissolving into something new and uncertain, but better. A black family laughs by the window, their joy filling the space. Latasha approaches with a warm smile, taking their order with genuine care. The couple at the next table watches, their expressions softening as they witness the shift. Miguel circles the floor, checking in on guests with a new confidence, his posture relaxed. Latasha's voiceover carries above the gentle hum. It's not just about changing seats or titles. It's about respect, about seeing each person for who they are. This is just the beginning. The camera lingers on the new name tags, badges, gleaming under the soft lights. The restaurant's future feels uncertain, but hopeful, a story rewritten with quiet strength, dignity, and the promise of real change. The morning sun filters through the windows, casting long shadows over empty tables. Mrs. Whitaker, a fixture for decades, stands at the counter, her gloved hand wrapped around a to-go cup. She hesitates, eyes darting from the new seating chart to Latasha's badge. "I had no idea," she says quietly, her voice trembling as she avoids gaze. The words hang between them, heavy with regret and a hint of shame. Latasha offers a gentle nod, her response measured. A lot of people didn't. She keeps her tone soft, not accusing. Mrs. Whitaker nods, lips pressed tight, then slips out. The door without her usual chat. The bell above the entrance rings once, twice, then again as more regulars leave without sitting. Some pause, reading the new diversity statement by the door. Others glance at the staff, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Miguel wipes down tables that haven't been touched all morning. He catches Latasha's eye and shrugs, a silent question passing between them. The kitchen is quieter now, the usual rush replaced by a slow, uneasy rhythm. Richard stands at the edge of the dining room, his arms folded, watching the empty seats. The clatter of dishes from the back is the only sound echoing in the hollow space. A couple enters, looks around and leaves without ordering the phone. Rings another canceled reservation. Latasha checks the list, crossing out names with a steady hand. She glances at the clock, the minutes crawling by. The staff gathers near the service station, their voices low, the mood somber but resolute. Narration. The truth is visible now, impossible to ignore. The restaurant's old comfort has been replaced by uncertainty, but also by honesty. Every empty chair is a reminder change costs something, but silence costs more. Richard lingers by the window, staring at the street outside. The world has shifted, and for the first time, he can't pretend not to see it. The staff gathers in the back room, chairs pulled into a loose semicircle around a flickering TV. The old training video is gone, replaced by a new one, Latasha's voice guiding each scene. "Greet everyone with the same respect," she instructs, her tone calm but firm. The footage shows real moments. A black family welcomed at the window, A young couple offered the wine list without hesitation. Every guest met with genuine warmth. Miguel sits near the front notebook, open, jotting down reminders. A new hire leans forward, eyes wide, whispering to a colleague, "Was it always this different?" Latasha pauses the video, meeting their gaze. "It was, now it's not." Her words settle over the group, a promise and a challenge. Richard stands at the back, coffee in hand, his posture less rigid than before. He watches Latasha on the screen, her confidence, her clarity, and feels the gap between past and present. The staff shifts in their seats, some nodding, others lost in thought. The old ways feel distant, almost unreal. A scene plays, a server hesitates, then chooses to seat a guest by the kitchen. Latasha's voice cuts in, "Stop, what could you do differently?" The room is quiet, the question lingering. Miguel raises his hand. "Offer them a choice. Treat them like they matter." Latasha nods, a small smile breaking through. The video ends with Latasha looking straight into the camera. This isn't just a job, it's a responsibility. The staff sits in silence, the weight of her words pressing in. Narration, the script, has changed, no longer a set of empty rules, but a living guide to dignity. The staff leaves the room with new resolve. The echoes of the past replaced by the promise of something better. Richard lingers as the room empties, replaying the video in his mind. The future is uncertain, but the direction is clear. The staff room is thick with tension, air barely moving as Latasha steps forward, a folder heavy with documents clutched in her hand. Richard sits at the table, face pale, eyes darting from the folder to Latasha's unwavering gaze. Her voice is steady, cutting through the quiet. "You knew." The words land with the weight of years behind them. Richard opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. He looks at the folder, recognizing the manila edges worn from years of handling. Pages inside marked with red dates, complaints, warnings, stories left unanswered. He reaches for it, but Latasha steps back, her posture unyielding. The door clicks, shut behind her, leaving Richard alone with the mounting pressure. His phone buzzes on the table, messages from investors pulling out, emails from reporters demanding comment. He doesn't answer. The camera lingers on the folder, a symbol of everything ignored, now impossible to dismiss. In the hallway, staff exchange glances, some nodding in quiet agreement, others biting their lips, uncertain but hopeful. The fractures in loyalty are visible now, the old order crumbling in real time. Miguel leans against the wall, arms folded, watching as the balance of power shifts. A deep breath fills the room as Latasha's words echo. "You chose silence. We chose to speak." The sentence hangs, a line drawn between past and present. Outside, the protest grows louder, voices rising in unison. The restaurant's polished floors reflect the gathering storm, a reckoning long overdue. The chants seep through the walls, a reminder that truth can't be contained. Narration, the walls built to protect now close in, suffocating the man who ignored the truth. Justice is no longer a whisper but a demand, and the system's foundation trembles. The scene fades with the camera focusing on the folder, a symbol of accountability and change. As footsteps approach, new voices ready to rewrite the story, Evan stands in the locker room, the air stale and heavy. His hands move mechanically, gathering his few belongings: a faded photo, a worn-out pen, his name tag. Each item feels like a memory he can't quite hold on to. The hum of the restaurant is distant now, muffled by the thick walls and the weight of what's happened. He glances at the empty lockers around him, once filled with the chatter of coworkers, now silent. Latasha passes by, arms full of new uniforms. She pauses, meeting Evan's eyes for a moment. There's no anger, no pity, just acknowledgement. She nods and he nods back, a silent exchange that says more than words ever could. Evan hesitates at the door, fingers brushing the handle. The corridor outside is empty, the usual bustle gone. He steps into the back alley, the door swinging shut behind him without a sound. Trash bags line the wall, the smell sharp in the cool air. A rat scurries past his shoes, disappearing into the shadows. The city noise is distant, replaced by the soft clink of his name tag as he drops it into the metal bin. The sound is final, echoing in the alley like a verdict. A homeless man nods at Evan from the shadows, a brief moment of recognition passing between them. Evan offers a small, tired smile before turning away, footsteps fading into the night. Narration: the exit is quiet, unremarkable to the world, but it marks the end of a chapter built on exclusion. The door remains unlocked, a reminder that change means letting go even if no one is watching. The camera lingers on the discarded name tag, the restaurant's neon sign flickering in the distance as Evan disappears into the city's hush. The restaurant buzzes with a new energy, softer and more welcoming. Latasha moves confidently through the dining room, greeting a black family seated by the window. Their laughter fills the space, warm and unguarded. Miguel approaches with a smile, recommending the chef's special with genuine enthusiasm. The family listens, nodding, their comfort obvious in the way they settle into their seats. Richard stands at the kitchen doorway, half hidden, watching the room. His expression is unreadable, part relief, part uncertainty. The clatter of plates and the low murmur of conversation create a rhythm of renewal, a background music that feels lighter than before. Darius and Simone sit quietly at a corner table, their smiles small but deep, savoring the moment without fanfare. They exchange a glance, the kind that says, "This is how it should have always been." A waiter moves from table to table, refilling water glasses with steady hands. He meets each guest's eyes, offering a nod or a brief smile. The lighting is softer, the air lighter, as if the restaurant itself breathes easier. The old tension, the kind that made every gesture feel loaded, has lifted, replaced by a hum of possibility. Simone leans in, her voice low but clear. This feels different. Darius nods, scanning the room. It's a new rhythm. Voice carries over the scene, a gentle narration. Change isn't loud. It's the quiet moments, the small gestures, the respect given without question. This is just the beginning. The camera lingers on the clatter of plates, the gentle smiles exchanged, the subtle nods of acknowledgement. The restaurant's future is uncertain but hopeful. A story rewritten with dignity and quiet strength. Narration: the first new service hums with promise. A different kind of energy that speaks louder than words. The past lingers, but it no longer defines the space. Here, respect is the house special, and every guest is seen. The scene fades with a soft glow of candlelight, the gentle murmur of conversation, and the steady pulse of change. The dining room hums with a softer energy, the air lighter and more open than ever before. Latasha moves confidently among the tables, her voice clear and steady as she leads orientation for the new staff. The old seating chart, once a symbol of exclusion, now sits folded and forgotten in a drawer, replaced by one marked with welcoming notes and open tables for all. Miguel guides a new hire through the evening's flow, his tone patient and firm. He emphasizes respect and genuine attention to every guest, his presence calm and assured. Latasha watches him, pride flickering in her eyes. The kitchen staff moves with purpose, the clatter of plates and utensils, now a rhythm of cooperation. Rather than tension, the air feels different, lighter, as if the restaurant itself is breathing easier. Richard sits quietly in his office, the weight of recent days pressing down. He signs a diversity pledge, his hand steady but his expression uncertain. Staff exchange, glances, some nodding in approval, others cautious but quietly hopeful. The restaurant feels transformed, the old hierarchy dissolving into something new and uncertain, but better. A black family laughs by the window, their joy filling the space. Latasha approaches with a warm smile, taking their order with genuine care. Nearby, the couple from before watches, their expressions softening as they witness the shift. Miguel moves through the floor, checking on guests with a new confidence. His posture relaxed, Latasha's voiceover carries above the gentle hum. It's not just about changing seats or titles. It's about respect, about seeing each person for who they are. This is just the beginning. The camera lingers on the new name tags, badges gleaming under soft lights. The restaurant's future feels uncertain but hopeful, a story rewritten with quiet strength, dignity, and the promise of real change. Evan wipes down sticky counters beneath the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, each pass of the cloth more mechanical than the last. Customers move through the line, eyes averted, conversations clipped and impersonal. No one meets his gaze. The weight of invisibility presses down with every step. Every transaction got his phone, Vibrates a news alert, flashes across the screen. La Belle Table celebrates new leadership. Praises for diversity and respect fill the headline. Evan scrolls through the article, searching for his name. It isn't there. The ache of erasure settles deep. A quiet punishment that stings more than any public rebuke. A young mother orders at the counter, her voice warm but distracted. Evan musters a polite smile, but it feels hollow, a mask he can't take off. He hands over her tray, the clatter of plastic cups louder than any acknowledgement he receives. Behind him, a group of teenagers laugh, their words sharp, their glances dismissive. Evan's shoulders tense, but he remains silent, the past lingering like a shadow that refuses to fade. During his break, Evan steps outside, the city's noise a distant hum. He watches a family at a nearby table, their joy unguarded, their laughter easy. His breath fogs the air, a quiet reminder of everything he's lost. Inside, the cold glow of the fast food chain stands in stark contrast to the warmth he remembers from La Belle Table's dining room. His uniform feels heavier now, the badge clipped to his belt nothing more than a relic of a life left behind. The world has moved on, and Evan is left to fade quietly into the background, not with anger, but with the inevitability of being forgotten. Narration, exile, is silent. Some names disappear not in protest, but in the slow hush of a world that no longer needs to remember them. The camera lingers on Evan's face, regret and resignation etched deep. The scene fades as he returns inside, swallowed by the hum of the chain. A ghost in plain sight, Latasha stands at the front of the dining room, posture tall, her new badge glinting in the soft evening light. She addresses the team before service, her voice steady and clear. Every guest deserves respect, no exceptions. Her words carry not as a threat, but as a promise. The staff listens, some nodding, others absorbing the shift with quiet awe. A new server asks, "What if someone complains?" Latasha meets their gaze, unwavering. "We listen, we learn, but we don't compromise on dignity." The answer is simple, but the room feels it a new standard set, not by fear, but by example. Miguel moves through the room, echoing her lead. He checks on tables with genuine warmth, his confidence growing with each interaction. In the kitchen, the chef watches Latasha, a grudging respect forming as he sees the team respond to her calm authority. Richard lingers near the office door. Observing the transformation from a distance, he watches as Latasha resolves a guest's concern with patience, her empathy turning a complaint into gratitude. The staff exchanges glances, their trust in her growing with every shift. Latasha trains a new hire, demonstrating how to greet guests with sincerity. It's not about the script, it's about seeing the person in front of you. The trainee smiles, repeating the gesture, and Latasha nods in approval. The dining room fills with a new energy. Guests linger longer. Laughter rises more easily, and the tension that once haunted the space dissolves. Latasha's presence is felt in every detail, her leadership quiet but unmistakable. Narration, true authority isn't loud. It's the confidence to do what's right, even when no one is watching. Latasha's strength is steady, her dignity contagious. The restaurant changes, not with noise, but with the certainty of a leader who knows her worth. The camera lingers on Latasha as she surveys the room, head held high, the future taking shape around her. The restaurant door opens with a gentle chime, sunlight spilling across polished floors. Darius and Simone enter, their presence composed and unmistakable. The new hostess greets them with a genuine smile, not the forced courtesy of before, and guides them to a window table where a light warms the linen and the city stretches beyond. Simone settles into her chair, the tension of past visits replaced by quiet comfort. Darius glances around, taking in the mix of faces and the natural ease in the air. A waiter approaches, steps confident, eyes meeting theirs with respect. "Welcome back," he offers, voice warm and sincere. "Can I start you with something special?" Simone's smile is soft, her eyes bright. "Just water for now, thank you." They exchange a look, relief, pride, and the sense of a quiet victory. The restaurant hums with a new rhythm, one of genuine inclusion. Nearby, Latasha stands at the service station, her smile relaxed, posture open. She watches the couple, pride flickering in her eyes. Darius leans in, voice low but certain. Feels different, doesn't it? Simone nods, gaze steady. It's how it should have been all along. The waiter returns, setting their water. Down with care, sunlight catches the droplets, scattering tiny rainbows across the tablecloth. Outside, the city moves on, but inside, a new story unfolds, one of dignity restored, hope renewed, and wounds quietly healing. Narration: change doesn't always roar. Sometimes it sits quietly at the best table in the house, waiting to be seen. The camera lingers on Darius and Simone, their smiles small but deep, the future bright beyond the window. The restaurant breathes easier, every detail a testament to what's possible when respect becomes the standard. The Bell Table's homepage glows on screens across the city, a new banner stretching across the top. Everyone welcome, every time. The old gallery of staged, uniformed faces is replaced by candid photos of the current staff. Their smiles genuine, backgrounds varied. The menu now features a note in bold: "Respect is the house special." Latasha reviews the website. On her phone during a quiet moment before service, her quote stands out in elegant script. Hospitality means seeing every guest. She feels a swell of pride, not for herself, but for what the restaurant has become. Miguel passes by, peeking at her screen. "That's you?" he asks, grinning. Latasha nods, her smile modest but real. Richard sits in his office, scrolling. Through the new site, he lingers on the diversity statement, reading it twice. The words are simple, but their meaning is profound, a public promise that can't be quietly undone. The staff gathers around the bar, some reading the pledge aloud, others snapping photos to send to friends and family. A guest enters, pausing at the door to read the statement. She nods, reassured, and takes her seat by the window. The atmosphere is lighter, the sense of welcome no longer just spoken, but lived. Latasha greets her with a warmth that's become second nature. Narration: words on a website can't erase the past, but they can set a new standard. The pledge is more than a slogan, it's a commitment visible to all, holding the restaurant accountable to the promise of dignity. The camera lingers on the homepage, the bold statement shining in the evening light. The restaurant's story is now public, its values clear for all to see. Respect isn't just policy, it's the foundation, woven into every detail, every interaction, every guest who walks through the door. The dining room transforms as tables are pushed aside, chairs forming a wide circle beneath the soft glow of pendant lights. Neighbors, staff, and regulars gather, some faces new, others familiar, all drawn by the promise of honest conversation. Latasha stands at the center, her presence calm and steady. She welcomes everyone, her voice carrying just enough to quiet the room. "Thank you for being here tonight. We listen, we learn." A middle-aged man, hands trembling slightly, rises from his seat. "I never realized how deep this went," he confesses, voice rough with emotion. "But hearing your stories, it changes things." His words hang in the air, echoed by nods around the circle. A young woman, her voice hesitant but clear, adds, "It's not just about one night or one restaurant. It's about respect everywhere." The group murmurs in agreement. The atmosphere shifting from apprehension to something softer, cautious optimism. Latasha listens intently, inviting quieter voices to share. Stories of exclusion, resilience, and small acts of kindness fill the space. Miguel speaks up, recalling the first time he saw a guest truly welcomed. "It made me want to stay, to try harder." His words draw a smile from Latasha and a ripple of agreement from the staff. Richard sits in the back, posture rigid, eyes fixed on the floor. He doesn't speak, but the weight of accountability is clear in his expression. He listens as the community speaks truths he once ignored. Each story another crack in the old foundation. Outside, city lights flicker, the night alive with possibility. The forum ends not with applause, but with a quiet vow to keep talking, to keep holding the restaurant and each other responsible. Narration: change is slow, often uncomfortable, but necessary. In these voices, a community finds strength. The restaurant is no longer just a place to eat, it's a space for healing and hope. The camera lingers on Latasha's face, resolute and hopeful. As the room slowly empties, the echoes of stories lingering in the air. Evan sits alone on a cracked bench outside the chain diner. his lunch break stretching longer than usual. He unwraps a sandwich, but the taste is dull, his appetite lost to the weight of memory. Across the street, a family laughs together at a cafe window. Evan watches them, the joy in their faces a sharp contrast to the numb routine of his own. He checks his phone, scrolling through messages none are for him. The newsfeed is filled with stories of label tables, transformation, photos of new staff, and quotes from Latasha about dignity and change. Evan's name is never mentioned. Not in the headlines, not in the comments, not even in the stories. Of what went wrong, a coworker passes by, offering a quick nod before heading back inside. Evan returns the gesture, his smile thin and fleeting. He glances at his old name tag, tucked in his wallet. The letters faded and meaningless now. The world has moved on, the restaurant thriving without him. His absence barely noticed. He remembers the nights when his word decided where people sat, when his approval meant something. Now, he's just another face in a crowd, his authority dissolved into the background noise of the city. The realization stings, a quiet lesson in how quickly privilege can vanish. Narration: some losses are loud, others slip away in silence. Evan's story doesn't end with outrage or redemption, the slow fading of a name no one needs to remember. The camera lingers on Evan's profile, the city bustling behind him. He finishes his lunch, stands, and disappears into the flow of pedestrians unremarkable, filled with the gentle murmur of conversations and the clinking of glasses. Latasha moves gracefully between tables, her presence calm and assured. Darius and Simone sit quietly at a corner table, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of a nearby lamp. The city lights outside twinkled like distant stars. A backdrop to the quiet transformation within Simone's voice, calm and reflective, begins as a voiceover. Change doesn't always roar. Sometimes it sits quietly at the worst table in the house, waiting to be seen. Darius nods, his eyes scanning the room, taking in the new faces, the open smiles, the absence of tension. It's in the small moments, he adds softly, the respect given without question, the dignity restored without fanfare. Latasha pauses by their table, offering a warm smile. "This is what hospitality should be," she says, her voice steady. Not just serving food, but serving respect. The camera pans across the room, families laughing, servers attentive, the hum of a place reborn. The old shadows have lifted, replaced by a light that doesn't demand attention, but invites it. Simone's voice returns. A whisper now. "We were never just diners. We were the quiet revolution." The scene lingers on the trio, their expressions a mix of hope, resilience, and quiet triumph. The restaurant breathes easier, every detail a testament to what's possible when dignity is the foundation. Narration: in the quietest corners, change takes root. It grows not with noise, but with the steady pulse of respect and recognition. The story doesn't end, here it begins anew, at the table where no one expected to be seen. The screen fades to black, the soft clatter of dishes and gentle laughter echoing as the credits roll.